Always kept it straight. This is not for y'all. This is not for the money. This is for me. While y'all thinking that I'm just doing it for the money, I believe that
Terence Crawford finally got back to Errol Spence about rematching their undisputed fight in 2023, which is next year. The world's most famous boxer, Crawford, wants to fight Errol Spence again in the super middleweight class. Spence is clearly taking advantage of this.
A lot of stuff, but my main objective was to make the fight happen by any means. Even though my people wanted to, after a while they wanted to walk away from the fight. Out of just all that outrageous demands, and then when you meet his demands and he moves the goalposts, he's nice as hell. But I'm at the point of my career, the money right, I'll fight anybody. So.
The fact that Crawford isn't saying no to him is interesting. It was yesterday that the new undefeated super middleweight champion was asked about Errol Spence's call-out. He gave a very excited answer. If he can get to 168, I'm in. It's fine for me to hire him. I still have a few matches left.
Before, that's my obligation in the contract, and I gotta honor that. That's the next move for me in my career.
But that burning desire not to lose, where does that come from? That competitive spirit?
Yeah, it's just something in all the greats. If you look at all the greats in any sport, they always was hungry to be the best. They wanted to prove that they was the best. They wanted to show the world and show everybody.
Like I said before, that's my obligation to contract. And I gotta honor that if that's the next move for me in my career. But that burning desire not to lose, where does that come from? That competitive spirit. Yeah, is there something in all the greats? If you look at all the greats in any sport, they always was hungry to be the best. They wanted to prove that they was the best. They want to show the world and show everybody that an ideal fight for Errol Spence Jr. would be to go up against Terence Crawford. Thought he was big and strong enough now that he hasn't done anything for a long time and has grown enough weight. Crawford is the next one I'll pick at 168. I want to fight. The deal we made is still good.
Without him, really wanting to fight and putting forth the effort into doing what he can do along with me to get this fight done, we wouldn't be fighting. So it's only right that I give him that same,
The world super middleweight titles without a loss. This is the best way for the two fighters to meet again. He soon had more wins than any other fight, even beating Errol Spence Jr. 2 years before. He wants to fight him again because of this.
He said the Jose Benavidez fight was probably the toughest fight of his career. And I think you said back in the day you had your way with him in sparring. Is there anything to take away from that, or that you take away from it?
No, not at all. I mean, it was a good fight. We fought a one-leg Jose Benavidez, and it was the toughest fight of his career. That says a lot.
What does it say?
It's interesting that they were said to have begun talking again a few months after they called off their fight last year. Crawford had even said that he would be ready to fight Errol Spence again in some conversations. Crawford changed his mind, even though it seemed like a better choice than Canelo Alvarez at the time. Because of this, Errol Spence called people out on social media. On the other hand, boxing fans don't think their first fight was close enough to need a second one. That much money again. Errol Spence is crazy. The score is now 90-10. Are you sure you can beat him? You're ready to kill again after being killed 2 years ago. This is your first fight since then. Some fans were so mean that they told him not to fight Terence Crawford again after 2 months off. But he's ready for something worse than the car accident he was in a long time ago. Interview 7.
And leading up to it too, so it's something that I wouldn't change for nothing, and I'm definitely open to the rematch, and hopefully it'll be at 154 pounds.
I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. Like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. You know,
not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame
right now? No, how?
Yeah, he's right, dude. He's right.
How? You know, he fought in one division. You know,
Never unified the belts.
Bro wants to get punched again and have surgery to fix his eyes. This is not the best way to die, man. Just fix it up and come back. You're okay without a doubt, but Terence might be too much of a test at the moment. Everyone who works for Fender, Thurman, and Tim is great. Someone else said, Errol doesn't seem to have learned anything from Timu. While his head was hurt, he lost the first 8 rounds of a tough, bloody fight against Fender and quit. But instead of taking a break from fighting to work out, he took on a big job that threw him off. Things are getting worse for Spence. He will die at the hands of Crawford.
did unify.
You know, he unified.
Was it?
He had 3. Yeah, the WBC,
unified all
WBA,
4. He wasn't undisputed.
Huh?
He
No,
wasn't undisputed.
he wasn't. No, but what I'm saying is, they already called him a weight bully, right? He beat Kell Brook coming off of a loss, an eye injury. You know, he beat Sean Porter.
In all fairness, he had to go over there to get that.
Like I said,
I mean, it could happen. I mean, why not? If Crawford wanna challenge himself to be great, let him try to be great. You know, so you know what I'm saying, I'm with it. So you know, I'll be going for.
Definitely. It was exciting, the whole building up to it and leading up to it, too. So, it's something that, you know, I wouldn't change for nothing. And I'm definitely open to the rematch, and hopefully be at 154 pounds. I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He couldn't. You know, like everything that I've accomplished, he's still trying to accomplish. You know, not think Spence will be in the Hall of Fame right now. No. How? Yeah, he's right. Dude, he's right. How? You know, like he fought in one division. You know, fights. Someone else says Spence should leave PBC because it's not the best place for fighting ability these days. All of Errol Spence's planned fights have been canceled while they're being worked out, which is not a surprise. Brother, get out of the PBC. Get out of there. Things are not the same as they used to be. Spend some time with Turki and let him fight you. Stay away from Crawford. Guys, that animal is about to cut off your heads. I think Crawford turned this battle around when he fought Madmov was the last thing that was said. Perhaps he didn't want to give Spence hope, so he should have ignored him.
I mean, that's a good win. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm hating on him or, you know,
no, I understand
things like that, but
right.
I honestly don't know if he make it to the Hall of Fame with the...
Because their first deal had a clause that let them fight again. Crawford thought they still owed Spence something. Since Crawford won the first fight, he would be the clear favorite to win again. If Croft and Dan Spence fight again, the only question that comes up is whether Spence will be a different fighter who fights at 154 pounds. In this point in their lives, both athletes seemed different after the weight cut, but Spence looked worse before and during the fight.
never want to fight him coming off an accident like that. Because when I beat him, then y'all gonna say it was because of the accident. He fight. He beat Danny Garcia. I was in the crowd. I said, nah, he can't beat me. That's the first time I seen Spence fight live. I said,
so you knew then when you seen that?
I'm like, yeah, because you know it's different on TV than when you watching it up close in person.
Crawford stopped Spence in the 9th round of a PBC fight in 2023, and the rules of the deal said that they would fight again. It had been months, but there were never any public plans for a second fight a few months after their fight. Spence chose to have surgery for cataracts. According to Coer, this meant that the deal for a repeat with Crawford was no longer valid. That meant Crawford could choose any fight he wanted, no matter who promoted it or what network showed it. Canelo didn't want to fight Crawford because he didn't think it would be good for him.
If you fight Canelo, I'll be going for him. I mean, I don't know if he's gonna win or lose, but I'll definitely be going for Crawford. I think if anybody can pull it off, he can pull it off. Yeah.
You know,
He's chasing greatness, so why not? Canelo came up to 175 and all that, and fought Kovalev and fought the other guy too. So I mean, if he can do it, and he started at 147. So I mean,
Errol Spence Jr. is in the middle of his career. He used to be a joint welterweight king. He hasn't said for sure that he's leaving the sport, but it doesn't look like he's going to return. After more than 2 years, fans are beginning to wonder if the truth will ever return to the ring. He was once thought to be one of the world's best athletes. He was well-liked and had never lost a fight. After that, Terence Crawford showed up. Before the fight between Errol Spence and Crawford a few years ago, it was almost a coin toss. It looked like both men were good. Then the bell went off of their fight to hold the middleweight title for both of them. Things only got worse for Spence after that.
Things can get real sticky real quick, and then everybody would say, this is what we do every time we come out. This is what we do whenever we come out.
When they finally fought on Saturday night after a long wait, Terence Crawford shocked Errol Spence in more than 40 years. He was the first undisputed welterweight king. He also made a strong case for being the best boxer in the world, no matter what weight class. The first time was in the second round, and the second and third times were in the seventh. Harvey Dock, the judge, stepped in at 2:32 of the ninth round. People who paid $19,990 to see him at the T-Mobile Arena would not have been upset if he had stepped in sooner.
Confidence to come out there and just be like, okay, well, even the skills to say, all right, let me see how you gonna take a punch to the chin. Let me see how you gonna take a punch to the body. Let me see how you gonna react when you can't bully somebody around.
Good, I just hit the ball.
Okay, so my mind was, you know what I mean, it was racing a little bit. And I was like, man, how should I come out? And it was like, man, just come out.
People said that the fight between two American boxing stars who had never lost was the best fight that boxing could give. It had been planned for over 5 years. On the other hand, after a pretty even first round, it quickly became just a show to see how good Crawford is in show of power, accuracy, and ring management. So great that it looked like the 35-year-old Nebraskan had never fought before. He made history since Lai Honyan stopped Donald Curry, Caesars Atlantic City, in 1986 to win the WBA, WBC, and IBF belts in one of the biggest surprises in British boxing history. Crawford is the first fighter to hold all 3 titles. Crawford was a champion at 135 and 140 pounds. After the fight, Crawford was the undisputed welterweight champion for a short time. He then moved up to junior middleweight. It looks like Crawford is in a strange but real super fight with Canelo Alvarez. While Spence is from Texas, he hasn't been seen in the ring since 2023 when he lost badly to Crawford. It's been a while. Now the question is not if Spence will come back, but when. It was terrible how badly Crawford beat Spence with his heavy punches. Spence may have been hurt by his fights with Kell Brook and other people as well. Then there was a terrible accident that almost killed him. Spence's trip has been risky in every way. Even though it worked, it wasn't honest. Still, Spence is likely to return. Warsters do fight, and so does he. It would be great to see him again if he is still healthy. Errol Spence wrote on social media that the worst thing he had ever done was drink and play sports. Jervin Davis, who is fighting tonight with Lamont Roach, also said something about Spence's social media post. The worst thing I did to myself was drink. In sports, remember to keep your eye on the prize. I hope everything is okay with you and your family. This was Spence's best fight, even though he lost to Crawford. But more bad things were said about his most recent show. Some Spence fans believe he isn't as good as he used to be. Spence just now responded to this in a post on X, which used to be Twitter. Some of you use he washed it to Broadway. So, this is to show you what washed really means.
Say, oh, well, he's money hungry, he's looking at money and he's trying to cash out and this and that. I've been getting money for years. I've been getting millions for years. Yeah. And I'm not stupid with my money. Right. As you can see, I don't buy no Ferrari, Lamborghini, you know what I mean, walk around with 100 people around me and got all this jewelry on.
Before Crawford beat him, Spence held the joint welterweight belt. He was a WBA, WBC, and IBF champion at that time. Spence won every year from 2017 to 2023. Fans may think that when Spence 34 comes back, he will face a famous fighter he hasn't fought in almost 2 years. Recently, Terence Crawford, the undefeated two-weight king, said some bad things about his old opponent, Errol Spence Jr., which seems to have caused some trouble. They fought each other in 2023, but Crawford beat the truth badly on only one side. Since then, Spence Jr. hasn't come back. The one-time undisputed welterweight king could have asked Crawford to fight him again, but he not did.
Has crazy power that he believes in. He has a great chin too because he's a guy, he'll let you.
He was recently talking about fighting Sebastian Fedora, who is a WBC and WBO super middleweight champion. But even that never came together, even after a lot of back and forth. After this, a lot of people thought Spence would never go back to the ring again. On the other hand, Crawford did great things. The Nebraskan is now set to fight Canelo Alvarez in September of this year. I can retire right now and be in the Hall of Fame. He told the host that he couldn't on the show. Like everything I've done, he's still working to finish.
Tanking the game. Basically, I like tank who's gonna keep coming, and if you feel like you don't have enough power, he'll keep coming to show you that you ain't got no power. And then,
He then added that he had fought in one class to what it already said. He joined 3 bands at the same time. He's already been called a jerk about his weight, right? Following a loss, he beat Kell Brook. Crawford News had won against Sean Porter, but he didn't believe it was enough. The win was good. I don't want to sound like I don't like him. Even though he has won a lot of awards, I don't think he'll make it to the Hall of Fame. Some of what Crawford says is true, but fans and professionals have said they don't agree with him. Kevin Cunningham, a boxing teacher, replied to Crawford's words, "I think Errol Spence Jr. has done enough to get into the hoof in the end. Olympian, 3 welterweight world titles, and in the top for 4 pound, said he Erickson Lubin also thinks the same thing in the game base. His record is already one of the best in boxing, even though he just became more famous after beating Canelo during classes where his medals. No one has ever been able to beat him. There have been times in Crawford's career when people didn't think he could beat his opponents, but he has always proven them wrong. If Crawford meets Spence at super middleweight, he will be the clear favorite. That's all there is to it. Now, we post about new boxing acts, moments, stories, and events on our YouTube page as soon as they happen. You'll know when we post good stuff like this if you make sure alerts are on. Until the next time.
He got caught. He should box a little bit more, but things happen. You gotta learn from it.